How are you all? How's things? Do you have enough room there?
Be gosh and be gar, top of the morning to you.
So, will I ever get over this nerves that I have when I initially come on?
I don't know. I think so.
Hopefully.
I think that every week though. And then you say I'm really nervous and I'm like, oh, okay. This is number 12, you know.
Is it?
Isn't
Really?
this cool? Oh no, maybe it's number... Yeah, it's number 12.
Oh my god.
Isn't that cool?
Welcome, week 12.
No, number 12. Week
Oh yes.
7
Oh
or
yeah,
8,
because
I
we
think.
did a double. Yes,
Yeah.
good. And, oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because we're doubling up. So nice, you can see us twice.
Oh my god. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how we are going to love ourselves, which is so ironic because I think that we spoke about before that when somebody had said to me when we were getting off a dinghy one time, or like a rib boat, and I was saying, it was on a school tour, and I was saying how this guy was helping me up off the dinghy.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't look up my skirt, and my skirt was down to my knees, and I said, imagine that, what a gentleman, he didn't even look up my skirt. And then this girl says to me, God love you, Tammy, you really do love yourself. And that has stayed with me for
It's
years
awful.
and years and years. So in this last maybe year or two, we were kind of discussing about like being self-full, and that being self-full isn't being selfish. So in regards to saying doing stuff that you want to do for yourself, or not answering the door or not answering the phone because it's your time. That came up in my dream as well, actually. It's your time for you, and that they're only there because they're a convenience for you. So yeah, I got sidetracked there because I can see you looking at me and it's so off-putting.
So where do you want me to look? Okay, I'll tell you what. I look here
You know,
when you're talking.
you need to connect with the audience too.
I'll just be over there.
Anyways, okay, so basically about the whole self-love thing, it's funny because I've been trying to work on being more self-full, and I find that very hard because I've always put everybody else's needs before myself. I remember in 6th class my mother saying to me that you can't take everybody under your wing, Thelma. And even like nearly every year someone or a lot of people would say to me, Thelma, like, stop always standing up for everybody else, mind yourself in all of this, you know. And I think it's just something that's either ingrained in me. Hi Breed. Something that's ingrained in... Oh yeah, I wasn't sure if I was on my Thelma Gibbons That's Life or my normal, but it doesn't matter anyways, we're here. Yeah, so above all topics to come up, the one that's up for me now is about how to love yourself. And considering the fact that I had like an issue with that through my life, so I'm transitioning, I'm growing, something big is
Progress, baby. I love it.
So, firstly, I'd like to know how you guys like love yourselves. What is it that you do that? Let me tell you, it's not about loving yourself that you're so big-headed that you think, oh my God, I'm so gorgeous, I'm untouchable. There's no one in the world like me. Do you know? Well, there is no one in the world like you because we're all unique. But in that, I think there's cross lines between loving yourself and being cocky, and not being there for other people. That brings to the point of being selfish. So with loving yourself, for me, it's things like, I'll tell you what I found. It's called a happiness journal. I don't know if you guys can see that. And I got this in Pennies, I think it was. So I bought a few of them. And it's just plain pages inside. But what I've done is on each page, I wrote down all the stuff that I love to do and what kind of resonates with me, and things that I have forgotten to do as a mother and as a wife, because when we're younger and when we're children, we just are in that state all the time. We just constantly do what we love doing. And so I've written down here saying nature, my first one, and anybody who's into art, you don't have to be, can do their own little doodles or whatever they want. So planting beautiful flowers, and then the type of flowers I like and which ones kind of like really lift my heart. So I love wildflowers, I love sunflowers. Then this page then I wrote down about animals, and then movies that I like to watch. Books, well, I'm working on the books. I've only got one there. But a book that really resonated with me, that got me through my abuse and everything else, or my post, if you like, is One Day My Soul Just Opened Up by Ivana Van Zandt. She's Oprah Winfrey's best friend. Then objects and stuff like that, or what do you call it?
Like crystals and candles and
yes,
those kind of things.
and I like the monkeys, hear no evil, see no evil, you know,
elephants and Buddhas and
Buddhas and candles and incense. Did I say incense? Yeah, I did. I wrote down here ice cream with the boys and maple mousse. So I still have to write down a couple of more things I like to do for myself. So I like dancing. I like getting cupping done on my back. Let's see now. Watching getting cozy by the fire, getting into my pajamas, my woolly socks, and new fresh clean sheets is always a good one. Oh yeah, so this is my feel good page of what I like here. Anyways, it goes on and on and on. Songs, artists, who makes me happy, people that make me happy, things that make me happy, appearances, how I like to look for myself. So I don't go to this all the time. I've only started doing this. Belly laughs, love that one. What actually gives me belly laughs? Babies laughing. And unfortunately YouTube clips where people hurt themselves.
and real life clips where you see people fall off chairs and
I'm always the first to help them, but at the same time it's hilarious.
Yeah, totally.
And so anyways, the reason why I did this, and I'm trying to learn myself how to do a lot of self-care and self-love, but I really instill it in my children and teach them this, and they end up repeating it back to me then, which is lovely because they remind me how to do it. Is that if you're having a day where you feel down or things aren't going so well for you, right? To find an opportunity in that day that you can go to your happiness journal or your happiness book, and you can say, do you know what? Right now I have the time to read a chapter of a book, so I'm going to pick out my favourite book, or I'm going to read out, I'm going to pick out my favourite DVD or my favourite chocolates. Or if you're going to plan like a day for yourself or a night for yourself, this is the book that you go to for all the things that make you so happy. And another thing that I had to do as well is, because I don't offer myself the time to do things, it's kind of like, say, the friends that are in your life all the time that you constantly ring and say, but then when you don't have, then when you want to ring somebody out of the blue and you think, oh, who have I not spoken to in a while, that you kind of think your brain freezes. So it's the same thing with doing stuff for myself, which is doing facials, doing like massaging my feet, doing my nails, you know, putting a hair mask on my head, all of these kind of things that we like to do. Here is, I've been joined by my son.
We have a guest on our show today.
He's been very, very good. Oh, Jonah, I'm on my phone at the moment. I'll hold your hand. And so I have like a little whiteboard, a small one in my room, and what that is facials, feet, nails, to remind myself that when I am free and when I don't want to watch what my husband wants to watch, and the kids are in bed, it means that it's up there, darling. See, look, I'm using it. It means that I can go to those and think, do you know what, I'm going to this for myself today. So it's self-care and self-love. It's about listening to your body. If you're tired, go to bed. Or I'm glad that one of my friends is on here because she teaches me something that I need to do for myself, is have a bath as often as I need to. And I don't allow myself the time to do it. I don't honour myself enough to give myself the time to do that. And I sabotage it all the time, and I don't know why I do that. And I know other people are very strict and they'll go to the gym or they won't eat certain foods. And I know there's a lot of it about balance. Like for me, one of my stress things that I do is I've always taken stress out of my face. So in my abuse as a child, I used to always scratch my face all the time because I knew it would go, and it was just a way of, I don't know, whatever. And so now what I realise as an adult, what I do is, if I'm stressed, I find myself in the car, put my hands all over my face and scratching to see, like, you know, if there's any blemishes or whatever, and then like take it out of my face and scarring my face. And then sometimes if I'm brushing my teeth in the mirror, I'll be looking in the mirror and I'll be doing like if there's any blackheads or whiteheads or whatever, and then I'm scarred then, and then the next day I'm all picking at it. Do you have something that you do as like, what would you call it, self-inflicting pain, or what is your go-to when you're stressed, or do you have anything like that?
Hold on 1 second, sorry guys. Josh, would you set up the laptop for Jonah? Thank you. The thing that I do, I don't think I do actually. I'm definitely not, like when it comes to say physical self-care, as in say doing things like giving myself a facial, I've started to get really good at it again, and now I'm doing my skincare routine twice a day, which is really nice. taking that time. It's only like 4 minutes, but it feels really nice to have really fresh skin at the end of it. I never really do my nails because, a bit like you, I don't take the time, you know. We had a conversation, I was on a mastermind the other morning, and we were talking about the things that I love whiteboards, and the things that you fit into your daily to-do list. And one of the girls actually said that she adds in her self-care practice on her to-do list. And
Really
it
good.
was like, oh my God, that's so simple, and I'd never thought of it, and I'm mad about whiteboards. So I started adding in, say, a meditation. So I do an hour meditation every night before I go to bed. So now it's on the actual to-do list. But that's a habit that I want to start implementing every day, writing it down. And then once that's part of my to-do list, I'll add in another habit.
Okay.
And I'd really like to... I was lying in bed last night and I was really sore. Like, I really want a massage. I want to go and have a massage more often. So that's probably going to be the next self-care practice that I
And why
implement.
do you think you haven't had a massage in your hands before now?
Because I never put it into time. I never factor it into important time.
Okay.
But now I'm at the stage where it's sore, where they're really sore.
So this is exactly my point.
Yeah.
Why does something have to hurt so bad that's when we implement it in?
Yeah.
We teach our kids to look after themselves, but you've been struggling with your hands for quite a long time. So why hasn't it been a priority?
Yeah.
We don't prioritise ourselves and our own needs because we think we have to put our kids first or we have to put our husband first. But honestly, it's something I've really, really noticed and want to kind of learn myself is that we have to do this ourselves because then our kids will see us doing that. Our husband will see us doing that, you know.
I'm gonna change the wording just on what you said there, because I'm not struggling with them, because struggling means that they're an issue all of the time.
Okay.
But I have pain in my wrists. I just want to change that language, because the minute I'm struggling, it means that it's a continuous, all the time sore. So just to change the language on that and say I just have sore wrists,
Okay.
but they're gonna go and they're gonna be fine.
Okay.
It's funny, isn't it, when you hear words and you go, that doesn't sit. It just doesn't sit. I hate the word struggle.
But even in that in itself is having self-care. It's like if I'm always late or I'm always this. It's not necessarily true. You know, we just get into the habit of saying things. Like me,
yeah.
I would like that now. I'd say words because I'm used to saying. We kind of stick to the same vocabulary.
Habits.
We don't tend to change. Yeah. So, or my husband always does this. My kids always do that, and not necessarily is it the truth. So we're actually conditioning ourselves. We're setting ourselves up for failure, really, because that might not always be the case. So. I know Dale Carnegie, I think that's his name, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a really good book. It's a really good read. What he did to self-improve himself, because it's good to constantly keep learning about ourselves and try to be the best possible person that we can be. He sat down every Sunday, I think it was at 2:00 every Sunday. His family knew not to disturb him for an hour. He wrote down all the things that went well in the week, right? But mainly the things that could have gone better or how he could have dealt with something better. And so that was his homework then. How can I make a difference in that? So if I said something that person reacted badly to, how can I help that not to happen again to create like a better reaction?
But that's learning from mistakes, and I think, sorry to put across here, I think that's something we don't do. We had this conversation the other day in a different situation. And when you do something that's wrong or that's a mistake, maybe take wrong out of it, whatever. When you do something and you make a mistake and it affects somebody else or something else in a situation that you're in, if you don't take the time to reflect on why that happened, and you can never ever be better the next time because you haven't reflected on it.
Yeah, like, so you take your responsibility out of it.
Even if you say I'm sorry in the moment, but you don't go away and sit down and go, okay, hang on, go through the whole situation. How did that happen? Why did it happen? And now what do I not need to do the next time? And those are words you actually said. You said, what do I not need to do the next time?
See, she's got that memory.
But that means you're actually growing from a situation, which is brilliant. So you're doing exactly what he was doing, just in a different way.
Yeah.
You know,
like today I was thinking to myself, like somebody had told me stuff about themselves, and it wasn't necessarily, you know sometimes you know the tonality or you know the way it's been said to you that it's private or it's not private, or so we may think. And I was having this is going back now, I'd say nearly 6 years ago. somebody came into Westport and that I know, they're from Westport, and they had said to me stuff about themselves and da da da. And one particular thing was, you considered maybe private, but in the way she said it, I presume that it was knowledge to other people. And then I met her friend and I said, oh, you know, she's back in town, isn't it great? And I said, she'd been through something like I've been through, whatever, da da da. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. And in that moment I thought, like, it was just such a learning for me, and that I have to remind myself of that just because someone tells you something, not that you're necessarily going out blabbing personal stuff because you know that, but you know, like the way someone would talk to you or they'd hunt you over, or you know that, you know, this is important to them. But these were best friends, and I presume that she knew, and it wasn't like a thing that I thought was going to be that private. But in that moment I thought to myself, just because someone says something to you doesn't necessarily mean that everybody knows about it, you know. And the same thing about me, just because something might have happened to me, and I remember my counsellor saying this, she goes, don't presume that everybody knows about your story just because it might have been on the paper or might have been whatever. So don't feel that you have to justify yourself and come from the place of, well, should they know my story, because they may not know your story. And all of that, girls and boys, you would think
like Bosco. Hello, girls and boys. I love Bosco.
Is that's actually all self-care and loving yourself. Like when someone says, if you think to yourself, oh well, I don't want to love myself, that's so selfish, that's so big-headed, but it's not. It's all of this stuff that we're talking about is loving yourself, minding yourself. If you want to change it to minding yourself, you can, and that's what it's about. Minding me, in how I can make myself feel good, and that includes your emotions, your physical body, your mental body, protecting yourself in certain situations. That if you're in a room where there's somebody there that, you know, makes you feel uncomfortable, how do you mind yourself in that? How do you love yourself in that moment?
And it can mean different things to different people all of the time. Like, my self-care practice is coming into the house when I know I've finished doing everything outside, locking my front door, sitting down on my couch and watching something that I've been watching on Netflix when I know I've nothing else to do. And in that moment, I'm not answering the phone. I sure as hell won't answer the phone to private numbers. I'm not going to text anybody back unless it's an emergency. And that's me doing something that's important for me, taking that time to go, okay, I've had enough. Or
I've learned that about Kira, and I think it's very important that I know when Kira doesn't respond back to me or she won't answer my phone call, it's because she's minding herself in that. Because in that moment in time, she's either too busy or she doesn't want to answer because she needs downtime. And I know then it's not personal. But you will respond back to me, say, maybe that evening or the next day, and you're like, okay, this is what the story is, you know. And but you respect me in that you're not going to leave it like for a week or so, you know.
It drives me nuts. And on the other side of that as well, I never expect anything from anybody else. So I've learned over the past maybe 12 or 13 years that when you expect things from people, you could end up being really disappointed. So it's much nicer to just leave the expectations out of it. So when I send a message, and I have a couple of friends who are absolute disasters at getting back to messages. I mean, they're nightmares. But I don't message them to get a reply. I message them in the moment to tell them the thing I need to tell them, or ask them the question I need to ask them, or check in on them. And I know that when they're ready, a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 24 hours, however, that they'll get back to me. So there's no expectations there. So because that's how I treat people, that's how I'm teaching people I want to be treated. And that's another part of self-care and self-love. When I know myself well enough, and when you know yourself well enough, we can sit back and we can say, right, well, I'm showing you who I am. So now you know how to respond. Unless you're asleep.
100%.
You know.
And I know that we said that we might do this. I don't think we did it. Boundaries. Did we do that yet?
No,
we just touched on it. I met somebody new recently, and very quickly they showed me their boundaries.
Just 1 second. Josh, will you make sure you're minding Jonah while he's on the laptop, because I don't want anything to pop up that he wouldn't be ready for.
Multitasking.
Okay, perfect.
Mothers and kids.
Hey, Nicola.
What was this? Oh yeah, so I met somebody recently and they really showed me boundaries, and they said that they didn't like a particular thing in company, but I thought it was meant, oh, I don't really like that, but I didn't realise how serious it was. And then I brought it up then as a joke later on or whatever, because we're all kind of, you know, when you get into like a moment where you're all kind of half slagging each other and everyone's laughing, but very quickly she let me like know her boundaries, and she was very firm, and to the point where I had to take a breath, because it scares me a bit when somebody is so God bless you. When somebody's straight up and says, I don't like this, I didn't appreciate this, this is how I felt, I told you I didn't like that, why did you do that, da da da, and I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, there was such learning in that for me, because okay, I know things can maybe said a little bit differently, that you receive it rather than I've kind of felt attacked in a way, but then she must have felt attacked and I didn't know. So we're just getting to know each other in that moment, and it's about like another thing is you can't tread on eggshells either, because then you never know what to say, because this is what it is about, finding boundaries. And she told me her boundaries, and then what I was so surprised about was it was done and dusted, it was gone. She's like, I didn't like that, don't do that again. I said I didn't like it, that's it, move on. Now, how are you getting on, where are we going next? And I was like,
but see, there's a masculine energy in that, so you don't have to talk about men and women being different. Each person has a masculine and a feminine energy inside them. And the masculine energy is the logical energy sometimes. It's that energy that's like, right, we're going to deal with this, and then we're going to move on. The feminine energy can be very much, oh my God, what have I said? How do I fix this? And then overthink. Clearly they're going to bring it up again. Something's going to happen, and so things can get drawn out. Now that can be a generalization, but that's generally the difference between the masculine and feminine energy. So she showed you her masculine energy. She was very direct and very clear in what was not okay and how we move forward. And then all of a sudden it was done. That feels amazing. It's rotten in the moment because you're kind of gone whoosh. But then after that you're like, okay, now I know what not to do, and it's okay.
And she was very good at me, because she said to me that she goes like, you know, Thelma, you're the one saying that you're very sensitive and you don't like when someone does this, you know, so you need to do this, and you need to say, I don't like this is how I feel. And I'm like, but then in that moment I said, I'm kind of worrying about that other person, and I'm thinking, oh my God, okay, well, I hurt their feelings now in saying how I feel, so I rather feel awful or shitty and taking what they said, rather than owning my own truth and say, hold on a second, I actually don't feel right when you say that, that does not sit with me. Because then if you don't say it, then it manifests and festers, and then you're waiting for them to do it again, and they'll keep doing it again, not intentionally, but because they don't know that that's your boundary. They don't know that you don't like it. And then it's a typical thing where they say, usually like the husband says, Jesus Christ, like, just because I didn't put the lid on the toothpaste, she's blown up, like, talk about fucking taking things out of proportion. But it was never about the lid on the toothpaste.
No, it was the 12 months previous from everything that had built up that you never said.
Yeah, in fact. Yeah. So, you know, that was a really, really good learning lesson for me. And what was kind of tough for me is that I had to go away and process everything. Like, what happened? How did I do it? What responsibility did I have in that? What were the warning signs? We get this even meeting in relationships, like friendships and in boyfriends and in husbands, in that they turn around and they'll say, do you know, you meet a boy.
I remember we had this,
and he's so gorgeous good. And you're so carried away by his good looks. And he's like saying, well, tell me, I love my Friday night with the lads, whatever, I do this every Friday night. And I know, geez, I'm not a big into housework and whatever else, and I'm just like there looking into his eyes. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh yeah, but you're so lovely. So I'm not hearing.
He's told you who he is.
He's told me in that moment exactly who he is. Yeah. But I'm just like, oh my God. And if I was other type of woman, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, I can change all that. I'll work on him with that. He's just so gorgeous. Like, oh yeah. Then the relationship evolves. You get together, and then like, it comes to the point then where you really start to kind of fall for this person, and say maybe 2 months into it, there's a few red flags popping up again really strongly, and they did pop up at the beginning, and you're like, are you kidding me? Friday night? No, I want you to come to this, or I've got a party, or I've just finished work after the week, let's go for dinner, I've booked dinner. And he's like, no, I'm going out with the lads. And you're like, for God's sake, you're always going out with the lads. Why? What? Like, and he's like, but I've always told you that. And then you'd be like, and on top of that, you never clean the house, and you never do this, and I've asked you to do this a million times. You're not respecting me. Whereas he told you this at the beginning. Now,
they weren't red flags in the beginning, it was just a fact, it was the truth.
Yeah.
But we just can't hear it. Yeah. And we do that all the time.
100%. Now, people can mould a small bit because there's kind of mutual respect there, where you're like, okay, she really doesn't like this, I really don't like that, but how can I meet her in this?
Begins with this. I can never think of this word. Compromise.
Yeah.
Oh, that word always goes out of my head. Yeah, compromise happens.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, in that then there's kind of self-care and self-love. So
I think boundaries and boundaries and self-love and self-care and self-respect all tie in with each other all of the time. And when it comes to like being in any kind of relationship, that one of my favourite books is The 5 Love Languages. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I've started to read that.
Oh my God.
That's so good, Kira.
Honest to God. So I was given it by a friend who's really religious. And so when she gave me the book, I thought, oh God, like what's this going to be about? I don't know if I'm into this because I'm not religious. Okay. I'm really spiritual and you know, whether that's a thing or not a thing, it doesn't matter. So she hands me the book and I went, right, okay, I'm not kidding. When I read, I eat the book. I had the whole book read in 49 minutes. I'm a speed reader. I'm really fast at reading. So I read the whole book and I was like this. Have you ever seen
how can you take stuff in, like
people who have like a beautiful mind or any of those movies where they read like this, right? That's what I felt like when I was reading it. And by the end of the book I went, oh, and I was taking notes and I was writing furiously and
all in 49 minutes.
It was incredible. And I went back and I rang her and I was like, I'm done. And she said, what do you mean you're done? I said, I've read the book. And it was one of the greatest moments of my life to realise that we love each other in a specific way and we love ourselves in a specific way. And if you haven't read the book, The 5 Love Languages, I would say read it because it is absolutely fantastic. Now, here's the caveat, the little bit. If you read it and you're in a relationship and the person you're in a relationship with doesn't read it, it's so difficult because you will have an amazing epiphany and the other person will still be the same person they are. The thing is, we can't change other people. We can encourage them to read this amazing book, but they might not do it.
Yeah.
Which is really hard because now you're open. You're open and you've learned something amazing and the other person hasn't.
They still are, as they were before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you know what you know and they don't know what they don't know, and it can be really, really hard. But when two people decide to make the effort to read this book, in a friendship, in a mother-daughter, in a father-son, in a mother-son, father-daughter, in everything, right? Yeah. In anything. Suddenly the awareness is magnified to a level that you will not expect. And then you learn how the other person wants to be loved. So for me, and I'll tell you a couple of them, for me, acts of service and physical touch are the highest things anyone can do for me. I have no interest in gifts. Love to get a present for my birthday, but like I wouldn't thank you for giving me a
except for candles, Yankee candles.
I love them, but I don't need them.
Okay.
I prefer for you to come in and give me a massive hug and sit with me and link my arm and we watch a movie in our pajamas. Or for you to say to me, Kira, I know, look, you're mad busy. I'll do this and this for you, and without asking. So
that's how you receive love.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And so if somebody said to me, rather than asking, do I need help with something, that they just do it without asking, so that it takes a massive amount off my plate and I don't have to go through the awkwardness of saying, oh yeah, I'd love for you to help me. So if someone just goes and does it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's also how I give love.
And the other thing not to be confused is, and we all do this, we expect people who know us for a long time to know what we want.
Not at all, yeah.
And me and Damien had this all the time. He's like, I don't know what you like for presents. And I get so annoyed with that because I think I might have just realised in this very moment that we are different, right? In that, okay, I will note, because I'm all about presents. Don't get me wrong, I'm not about expensive presents, even though they're probably nice too. I'm about the thought that goes behind it. The fact that you took note as to what's important to me, what I like, right? So if you got me like Ferrero Rochers,
I'm taking mental notes, people.
If you got me Ferrero Rochers and maybe a nice DVD or whatever, a pair of fluffy socks or something, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so nice, do you know, or whatever. Just that you took note of things that I like.
I'll be sending weekly presents. This is good stuff.
And so with Damien, he's like, well, there's no point in me getting this for you. Sure, you don't like the presents like it anyway. But it's not, the reason why I don't necessarily like them is because, and I love him, but he hasn't put the thought behind it. He just thought, I'll get this, that and the other. So now, what I've done is, for my self-love, at Christmas time, and to make it easier for him, which a little bit pisses me off, is I've decided I'm going to write a list, my Santa Claus list. Mr. Claus Gibbons, right? What I would like is, I like these creams, I like this hairdressers, I like this, and this. Pick something out of these and I'll be happy. and that will kind of make me happy. You know, it'll make me happier. But I still would prefer if he put more thought into it. But I've got to realise that that's just who I am.
Yeah. And his love language isn't that.
It's different, yeah. And I love him to tell me, like, reassurance about how nice I am, or I'm this, that and the other. And I'd often say to him lying in bed, like, Damien, tell me something nice about myself, right?
Really?
Yeah, all the time. And he's like, Thelma, it doesn't work like that.
You're like, yeah,
I'm not
it does.
ready. And
Tell
I'm like,
me.
and then I could actually end up going to bed pissed off then, because I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? But then out of the blue, when he tells me nice stuff, I'm like, oh, that's nice. But then when I ask him then another time, oh, Damien, tell me something nice. And he's like, oh, you did really well today with the kids, or you did such and such a thing, or whatever. And then I'm still annoyed because I have to see what it is in myself. What is it I really want him to say? Because he could rhyme off a few things, I'm not hearing them.
Okay.
So, like, I've got to figure out am I just sabotaging myself? Am I sabotaging him?
No,
Like-
but I don't think you are. So your two most important love languages then are gifts and words of encouragement, would you say? So what you're looking for him is for him to give you
That's
some
it,
sort
words
of
of encouragement. Yeah.
words of encouragement. So fair play to you today, you looked really well, I love the way your eyes look, or oh my god, Thelma, your legs look great in those shoes. And then, oh my god, the house is spotless, like fair play to you, it looks great. Or,
Oh, actually, that's a good one. I
Yeah.
really like him to help me around the house, because for me, and I love my parents and they worked very, very hard. They had got a housekeeper in every now and again to clean the house. I'm not saying anything about housekeepers, because Jesus, they're brilliant when you're stressed. But for me, I'm not sure if my parents saw it this way, and maybe they did, but I didn't see it the same way they did. Creating a home, like my friend Breach Murray and Fidelma and Mary, when they were living in Galway, oh my god, another friend of mine, Katie, when she was in Dublin, they were so good at making their house a home, even if they were renting. It just looked like so personalised and so full of love and so nice, and I don't do that for myself. And yet I see that in other houses and I want it, but I don't give myself the time to do it. I don't
your
know
house
why.
is really warm and homely and
Yeah,
looks
but
personalised.
to you, but to me, I have a different vision of what I would actually like. And so with Damien, I would just love him to help me a bit around the house with, say, doing some washing or doing one or two chores. I swear to God, and this is a good point, when somebody gives us the love in which way, in how we can receive it, oh my God, my heart bursts open.
You grow like a flower.
I'm just like, I'll cook his favourite dinner. I like, you know what, I've booked him for a massage. I ran a bathroom one time with some glass of red wine. And like, and he's like, what? All because I helped you with the fucking washing.
You're like,
And
yes.
I'm like, you don't get it. That means so much to me. And I know he's busy all the time, but when someone does something that actually hits it, you know.
Oh, it's
when you reach that
unbelievable.
orgasm, if you like. And it's like,
Your emotional orgasm.
oh my God, I'm just like.
Do you know
That's it.
his love languages? And again, this all comes back to self-care and self-love. It really
Yeah.
does. Do you know his?
Yeah, but
Or do
I
you
think
think
I
you
know.
know
I
his?
think I know one of them, because when he has it, he's all excited. It's not like it probably is, but it's not this one sexual or whatever. But I can't give that to him. So I've given him gifts, and he couldn't give a shite about gifts.
So gifts aren't his.
No, I think maybe validation of love in regard to me telling him how much I love him and care for him, and I suppose appreciation.
So
I
physical
think that's
touch
one.
or words of encouragement?
I think
Which one?
both, them
Okay.
two.
Okay.
Jesus, we're going to be on Love Island tonight.
Love you.
and I booked him for massages and facials, and although he says thanks, I don't think
He's not into
No,
it.
he
He's
wants
like-
me to give him a massage.
Okay.
But like I
So
do-
physical touch and
Yes,
words of encouragement
yeah.
then, definitely.
Yeah, see, we're going places here, guys.
See, this is great, but it's so good. I mean, look at this, right? This is genuine. This is so genuine. When you figure out what yours is and you tell the other person and they take it on board and then they tell you theirs,
It's magic.
it literally is like fireworks
Yeah.
going off all of the time, because suddenly you realise, and like I honestly believe right down in the very pit of my stomach, that for anyone who's going through issues in a relationship, who's going through, you know, those struggles and the fights and the arguments and the going to bed at night when you're not talking to each other, and the turning towards the wall, and the struggle that you have with each other because it seems like you're not listening to each other, and it seems like, God, I can't believe you did that again, and I can't believe you said that again, and it's so annoying, and rah, 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 rah. When you figure out that it is all about how you need to be loved,
And
it
communication
makes
with
a
that.
difference, 100%.
Yeah, communication.
100%.
You know, if you can't, like, that might be one of our frictions, I suppose, is that I feel like I have to talk about every little thing, right? If something small bothers me, I have to talk about it and get it out. And no matter how trivial he thinks it is, I have to talk about it, because it's the small things for me that manifest into something big. I can discuss, like if it's something big, I can nearly hit it on the nail, but I don't do it properly. I react, because we tend to react. We might do that another day, how we work with anger and frustration, because it's usually not about that other person. So I need to talk about that, whereas he doesn't want to. And he's very good. You won't believe this, that I feel, and I'm like,
that's good for you.
And that's fucking great for you, but hang on a second, wait till you hear how I feel. And then it's like this, so we meet each other in our stuff as well.
Yeah,
so
of course.
how to work with that, but we discussed that again. But yeah, communication is definitely number one. And it's really good, guys, if you do a bit of self-discovery on yourself. I tell you why. If you can find out what you really don't like about yourself, when you see that in somebody else, it brings up stuff for you, and we react from that place. I'm not perfect. Ciara, you're not perfect. You are perfect. No, you're not.
How nice.
None of us are really perfect. We're constantly learning about ourselves. But if we can really see what frustrates us, and obviously there's the yin and the yang, because if we see what we love about ourselves, if we can see what makes us happy, then we can tell people about that, show them about that. We can do that for ourselves, which we often don't do. But on the flip side, we also have to find out what really makes us annoyed, angry, frustrated, even stuff that we do to ourselves, what we do to others. If we can find out where we are in that, and if we don't, and we see it in somebody else, it'll bring it up for us, and we tend to put that onto the other person. I hate when you do that, or you're so selfish. And yet, if you really think about it, the reason why you're reacting is because you don't like that shadow side of yourself. And that's all about personal growth. And guys, we're going to be learning this for the rest of our lives. But we can be better people in ourselves and have compassion and empathy and for ourselves in those moments.
100%. 100%. And there's huge learning in that.
Yeah.
There's massive learning, even in what you've just said. And when people are aware and awake enough to take on board what you've just said there, and actually sit down and go, what makes me happy? And this is a simple exercise. What makes me really happy, and what do I love doing a lot of for other people and myself? What makes me really sad, really frustrated, really angry? Writing them down and being really aware of them.
Really honest with yourself.
It actually stops you from seeing it in other people. Because you become self-aware. And it is one of those things that it's a really simple exercise, but it's really hard to do. Because it means that you have to admit to your shadow self. There is nothing wrong with your shadow self.
And in that, and sometimes there's protection in that, guys. Like, if you're honest with yourself and you're like, I don't like, for me now, I'm scared of dominant people, probably because of my abuse. I'm scared of dominant people, yet I'm magnetized to people who are dominant. I'm drawn to them because maybe for me it's familiar. Right, so there's a bit of safety in familiar, although it's scary in the familiar. And yet, when I have them in my life, I always give over my power to them, and then I always put myself in a less than position, and I don't like when they're dominant to me. So for me, I have to figure out, how can I hold my own? How can I be the adult? And when I'm in this position of dominance, and if I can do that, and I'm trying to work on it all the time. And I think one of the keys is to have my boundaries and let the dominant person know these are my boundaries. I think I can meet them in that, and in that there's personal growth. So in your shadow side, it's not necessarily a negative, but it means you take responsibility for yourself and recognize, hold on a second, how can I be the better person, and how can I meet that? How, like, if you, with your child, if your child comes in and they're really scared of dreams or nightmares, you're going to try and encourage them that how can they meet themselves in that, in a childlike language, and work past the fear so that it's going to be okay. We do that for our kids. We don't do that for ourselves.
We don't let ourselves recognise
We don't.
And
And guys, I'm just checking the time. I've got 5 minutes before I pick my son up. But the other thing I saw on, I sent you a lovely clip the other day. You know, it was like an African woman, you know, and there was a saying with it. There was a few of those. I found it on, I think, Oprah's page. Is that if we can give to ourselves what we give to everybody else, then we create our own happiness. Mm-hmm. Like, we sabotage our time our time is the most valuable thing we can have in the world.
100%.
We never get this time back again.
Yeah.
And we will sabotage ourselves. I do this. I'll happily lie in bed when I've got time for myself, when I could actually read that book I wanted to read or do that meditation that I want to do. And God forgive me, I've realised I'm an addictive personality in a way. I'll scroll through my Facebook because it's not going to take up much time in my brain, but it does actually, because your brain's going 10 to the dozen then when you're trying to go to bed. Why don't I actually read the book? But I'll give time to you, I'll give time to Tom, Dick and Harry, to my kids, go for a walk. I'll do everything but give time to myself.
Yeah. But again, I think a lot of it comes back to that guilt. You're selfish.
Yeah.
What are you doing giving time
point.
to yourself?
Yeah.
Like, you've got loads to do. Do you not realise all of the stuff that you have to get busy and do? And in that moment and in that thinking, you go, okay, God, no, I can't sit down. And
Very good
when
point.
you take your phone out, right, it's almost like the inner child comes out and you go, I'll sit here and I'll scroll if I like and nobody can say anything to me. Rather than going, right, I said I was going to go for a cycle for myself, or I said I was going to have a bubble bath. Because in the thinking of that, you go, well, that's taking time for me. Whereas this little schley scrolling through Facebook, it can take hours and hours and hours. I've stopped completely, but now I've gone to flipping Instagram, and it's feckin' Instagram stories. Oh, God.
Because we go from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
I think you made a very valid point there. I think what the key is, and this come from my past, and I can only talk about myself, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm talking negatively about my past, because I've had great times too, and great upbringing, and our parents would be one way with us, and we'll take with us the good, and we'll try and change the bad. The cycle will begin again then with our own kids.
100%, yeah.
So you're right. It's about being, say, selfish or being lazy. So if I was seen to be sitting on my ass, we had a business growing up, we had a farm, we were in every sports going, so we had to be going. Don't you dare sit down. Go.
Yeah.
There's housework to be done. There's everything else to be done. But and I remember my counsellor said to me one time, she said, Thelma, there has to be time for downtime. And I'm so good at creating busyness in my life, I can't tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Because and when Damien comes in the door, well, Jesus Christ, I'm up and out of the chair and I am fixing things and doing things and everything else. And I struggle with, Thelma, sit down. You've had a hard day today. You've done so much.
Yeah.
Or physically I'm not able because maybe I'm sore. And I don't have to justify myself, and it should be okay. But it's down to the laziness. And then I think you're 100% right. It's like a light bulb. I'm lazy having a bath. I'm lazy doing stuff for myself.
Yeah. But sure, what are you doing sitting down reading a book?
Yeah.
Lazy. What are you doing in the bath? Lazy.
Yeah.
You know, and it really does. And it's amazing. But again, that's a bit of self-awareness. You've associated the feeling that you have currently with the feeling that you had as a kid.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because anybody made you feel like that. It's the feeling that you got. And so you've attached the two together. And can you sit down? Not a chance.
Yes, but also it's a funny point is, how many times, and I really have to go because my son will be at school, how many times do you hear, I've married my father?
Oh, yeah.
I've married my mother. Because it's familiar to us. So they say that that 80% of us on a subconscious level actually meet the one without even speaking to them. Like, we're going to the pub and I think, oh, but I liked him because he was good looking, or he was this, that and the other. But apparently it's so subliminal. It's like, do you know those pheromones or whatever?
Yeah.
It's all of the above are drawn towards this person, and then you realise, why do we get on so well? They may look different than your father, they may slightly act different, but the core values are the same. And I'm not saying that Damien thinks that I'm lazy, but it's just because he's a busy guy. I see that in my father. So he's busy.
Isn't
So
it very
I need
interesting?
to get up and start doing things because, geez, my dad walked in the door. But it's actually, he looks like Damien.
Yeah,
Do you know that kind of way?
I wonder, does he feel because he's so busy all the time? That's maybe something for him too. That'd be interesting. Oh, look at all these conversations you're going to have.
Interesting.
Tell us all
guys.
about your self-care, your self-love and your boundaries, and let us know what you guys do, because we'd be really interested in finding out.
Yeah. So I would like you guys to know that, say, by saying that you love yourself isn't by thinking that you're what we thought loving ourselves was years ago, that we're so vain and all the above, whatever. Yes, you have to love yourself. We have to appreciate our bodies that we're in. I know some will struggle with it. I struggle with it myself. But God, if you're into God or the higher power, whoever, gave us these bodies as a gift, right, to be in the world. And so it's only kind to appreciate what we've been given and not to sabotage ourselves by knowing that sugar doesn't agree with us, so we're going to eat all the cakes and the pies, and we're going to have eczema, we're going to have whatever because of that. Self-love and self-care and loving yourself and your body is about giving your body what it actually needs. Your body is screaming at you saying, you know, the spicy food doesn't help. I get indigestion, I get heartburn all the time. My skin doesn't agree with cheap makeup or cheap whatever, or my hair doesn't agree with certain types of shampoo.
Or
whatever
my
the
mind
case is.
doesn't agree with the people that I have in my life, and my
Yes.
soul doesn't agree with the stuff that somebody else says that I should do. You know,
All of those things. So loving yourself is all of this. So please, if you can, today and going forward, start to love yourself. What are you laughing at?
instead of people saying "go f yourself," the
Yeah.
end of it could be "go love yourself." Yeah,
Kira, you got go love yourself.
there you go. See,
Because if they loved themselves, they wouldn't see their shadow side in me.
yeah,
Go love yourself. I like that.
Yeah, so that's gonna be our thing from now on. Like,
Oh my God, that's killing someone with kindness, right? Go love yourself.
go love yourselves. Enjoy.
And
the
if we
day.
do also say that, we actually genuinely mean to.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Catch us on YouTube, Kira Heenahan, Thelma Gibbons, and Kira Heenahan coaching page.
I always want to call you Langan. Anyway,
Love you.
mwah. Bye
Go love
guys.
yourself.
Yes, go love yourselves. We love you all.
Okay. Bye.
Are you gonna hit finish?
I never know how to do
There.
this. Oh, there
See
we
that
go.
finish.